The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to It's Your Voice, the show that hosts enriching conversations in diversity. I am super excited about my two guests today who are real action takers and makers, organizers, and just put their heart, souls, and bodies out to get things going for the benefit of people, many, many, many people. The title of today's show is Small Town Resistance Action in the Arctic. And one of our guests is Dr. Ruth Ann Zent, and the other one is, I know her as Acha, but Adeline Kamaroff. And I will start by introducing Acha, although you can both come on at the same time. I'm just going to read your bios because I don't want to skip a word. I have, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bahia. It's so good to be here with you.
I'm so grateful. So Dr. Zent is a family physician working in Kotzebue, Alaska since 2002 and elsewhere in the state since 1992. She's the co-founder of Northwest Arctic Takes Action, a nonpartisan, totally grassroots group taking peaceful and political and social action in Kotzebue, Alaska since April 2025, April 30th. She's shared in the raising of three wonderful grandchildren who are 19, 18, and 15 years old, and is the spouse of Adeline Acha Kamaroff, who is our other guest today. And I can attest you two have raised amazing young men.
Thank you, Bahia.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Adeline Acha Kamaroff is of Yupik descent, originally from Imanik, Alaska, retired from the state of Alaska, Division of Juvenile Justice with 25 plus years working in the criminal justice field. And although retired, she's continued to work with the Office of Public Advocacy as a guardian ad litem, overseeing children's cases involved in the Office of Children's Services. Acha has, after retirement, required 2 master's degrees, not 1, 2. One of them is in public administration with and followed by a master's in legal studies, Indigenous Peoples Law from the University of Oklahoma. And get this, soon Acha with 2 of her late son's friends are driving snowmobiles from Kotzebue at the northwest part of Alaska to Imanik, the village that she grew up in, which is on the lower Yukon River. And then once in the Yukon River, she will go to villages to educate villagers about the importance of voting. This is important because the voting numbers have drastically declined over the years, and the highest rural votes in Alaska in history was in 1982 when the issue of subsistence was on the ballot. And since then, voting has been drastically declined. You two are amazing. It seems to me, and you are so inspiring because so many people are feeling powerless and don't know what to do when they feel like their leadership, when they don't have faith in the leadership, when they're super disappointed in so many things happening. But you got up and started organizing. Wow. Ruth Ann, can you start talking about how you founded Northwest Arctic Takes Action?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Bahia. It's so great to be on your show today. I came on today because I have had this experience of founding this totally grassroots political and social action group this year in rural Alaska. And the reason I agreed to come is because I want every person in small towns across the United States to know that they can do this too. You don't have to be somebody special. I'm just a regular person. But I made a decision to do this, and I've had lots of support, and we've had some success. So I just wanted to set the scene a little bit. Kotzebue, Alaska is a town of approximately 3,000 people above the Arctic Circle. It's located in the Northwest Arctic borough, approximately 7,000 people. And these 7,000 live in Kotzebue and 10 other villages in our region. And those other villages range from 100 people to 800 people. And it's in a wilderness area, approximately 36,000 square miles. That's about the size of my home state of Indiana, but we only got 7,000 people. And approximately 80% of the residents are Nukpak of the Alaska Indigenous peoples. And this is where I've been a doctor for 20 years. So the way I founded Northwest Arctic Takes Action is I was having much personal distress about things, what I saw happening in our country. And I was feeling pretty alone because we weren't talking about it together because we were afraid, we don't want to start any arguments between people because people are so polarized. But I heard one of my colleagues at work say to somebody else quietly, I'll go all the way to Washington, D.C. for a protest. And so I called her after work and said, do you want to go to Anchorage with me for a protest? So we did. Early April 2025, we went to Anchorage for the hands-off protest that eventually came to be the No Kings Coalition that many people know nationwide. And we just felt really good about our experience at that march. But it's a 600-mile plane ride to Anchorage, and we're like, we can't go to Anchorage every time we want to do something, and surely there's other people in this town that want to do something here in Kotzebue. So she and I decided to contact a few friends that we thought would be interested, and we hung up posters around town. And we put an announcement on the radio and just to see who would come for our first meeting on April 30th. And we had maybe 10 people there for our first meeting. And it was such a relief to have support and to be able to, start planning things together to make our country better. We made a really big point of it being nonpartisan, that we didn't have to be from a certain party, that we didn't have to be from a certain belief, and that it was nonviolent. We were going to follow laws with whatever action we took, and that we would be supportive of each other. If people wanted to take action on a certain thing but not another thing because they didn't believe in that was okay. So we've done quite a lot this year. We grew from originally 2 people. We've got 80 people on our contact list, or people that have taken action at different times. Our meetings are usually small, but our actions are larger usually. And we've gotten a lot done. Our philosophy is fight everywhere all at once. Even though we're a small town, we're going to fight here too. So we have we participated in the No Kings March in June. That was our first big activity. 42 people of our 3,000 people town came. And then we did that again in October. It was in the middle of a snowstorm, but we had 28 people there for our second No Kings protest. And we intend to have a No Kings protest again on March 28th, the next date. We participated in the 4th of July parade honoring our hometown heroes. We chose our midwives to honor. We posted a signature drive against Medicaid cuts on our Facebook page. We participated in a training called 1 Million Rising that the No Kings Coalition put out. The idea was they would train us, and then we would train people in our in our small towns in small groups on the issues to empower people to take action locally. We have been educating our community about inhumane treatment of immigrants. We had a Labor Day march and community meal, and we had a donation drive for our food bank during the government shutdown when SNAP benefits froze. That really affected our community. We moved food to remote villages also that did not have food bank there. We did a food security town hall about SNAP benefit and subsistence cuts that were deeply affecting our community. We talked about Medicaid cuts as well that were affecting us. And out of that came a food security work group that we just started the other day to keep working on those problems. And we had a candlelight vigil in January for the people that were killed by ICE that we were so upset about, and other people that died in ICE custody over 2025. And then we collected 20 signatures to send to our Alaska congressional delegation to ask them to rein in ICE. So we've taken those actions, but we didn't do that alone in any way, shape, or form. The No Kings Coalition has been amazing. Part of that coalition is Indivisible, the organization Indivisible, MoveOn.org, ACLU, and many other organizations that have, they give us amazing support. I signed up to be a host, and they told me what to do to host the, our No Kings March. They gave us nationwide mass calls to train us, support materials, security and de-escalation trainings, support staff to contact, media trainings, and a platform to say that we were the host, and we had a march going on. And we got a lot of signups that way. And then they had that 1 Million Rising training that then they trained me, and then I trained our little community from the 1 Million Rising training. I found out about a mobilization center in Alaska that was trying to get rural action to happen and rural voting, and they helped us do the town hall. And then I've been part of a statewide coalition. The first day before we even had our first meeting, I mean, it's a big state, but it's a small state. The people found out from elsewhere in Alaska that we were doing something in Kotzebue. They called me, said, do you want to join our statewide coalition? Because we're trying to get a leader and a group in every village. And we said yes, and we joined them. And so I'm on the chat group with them, and I find out what they're doing and learn things. And we have meetings twice a month where I get support that way. And in our first No Kings March in Alaska, there were 37 villages that participated in that march. They weren't all on the No Kings map. I think there were 15 villages on the No Kings map, but 37 villages protested. And 15,000 people in Alaska protested. And I know that because of our statewide coalition who collected all that data. Only 8,000 people, it was 8,000 people in Anchorage. So the rest of the 7,000 were in all the small towns in Alaska that, protested. So I want people to know that whatever small town you're in, you can do something to make a difference. And I feel like that we have here, and at the least I have people to talk to and support with what's going on. So.
Oh my gosh. What a list of accomplishments. Oh my gosh. And you still sleep and eat and go to work every day?
Oh, I do. I work part-time in my doctoring these days. So yes, I'm still being a family doctor and being very busy at that. But my part-time work helps me do that. And I have a lot of other people in the group that are doing lots of work to make all these things happen.
That is incredibly impressive and inspiring. I have so many questions. I'm trying to decide which direction do I want to go in first. I think if I can tap your awareness as well, also as a doctor. I mean, we have some awareness, but of like the actual impacts. And you did talk about how that like of Medicaid being cut, the Medicaid cuts, and the SNAP, that those are real, right? I mean, those are really impacting human beings
Yes.
who need insurance, who need to go to a doctor. Is there anything that you can share that, of course, just, general, in principle, not about human beings, of course, you would break confidentiality, but anything you can share from a medical doctor perspective about that?
Well, it was very concerning to me. I just feel like healthcare is imploding in the country with the Medicaid cuts and the health insurance premiums and the lack of premium support that has recently happened. And also, just as a physician, the cuts to science has just been really huge because doctors need scientific studies so that we know what to advise our patients. Otherwise, we don't know what to tell them to do if we have medical studies. And suddenly, huge funding has been cut for medical studies. And I've called my congresspeople a lot about that. And then the changes with the CDC, no longer giving guidance that is scientifically based. We relied heavily on the CDC and the NIH to have, to be able to make recommendations from what they glean from the science. And now we don't have that anymore, that in a way that we can trust. So as a physician, that has been huge. We do have some reprieve here in Alaska. Our Alaska indigenous community, they did get some carve out as far as the Medicaid cuts, which is helping our hospital not close. Otherwise, it probably would.
Wow.
But still, I think it's going to affect us eventually because there were overall cuts, even though there was some indigenous carve out for our native hospitals. But yeah, I think that's all I can say on that.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I wasn't even thinking from the NIH, CDC level, but of course you you like to be cutting edge and stay on top of the most recent science and continuous studies that you've, banked on for your whole career until these cuts from by the current administration. And that that you developed a food security work group, because that's a reality.
Right, the SNAP benefits cuts are going to be huge for our area. There's a lot of, we have really high poverty rate, and at the same time as this is being cut, our subsistence is really being challenged. Our caribou herd has decreased from about 400,000 to 100,000 in a short time, and getting food by hunting to eat is being challenged as well. So
Wow. Well, thanks for that kind of overall picture, and contextualizing the need for all the action that Northwest Arctic is taking. Wow. I'm so curious where you would like to start, Acha, with your vast knowledge, your public education knowledge, and your indigenous law knowledge, and your voter drive initiative. Where would you like to begin?
So Ruth Ann asked me to be involved with Northwest Arctic Take Action when she started talking with a friend of hers. And at the time when she started that organization that has made impact, even if we're far away. I was so engulfed in my studies, in my master's in legal studies with the University of Oklahoma, and and also on top of that, I'm a guardian ad litem. I do contract work with the Office of Public Advocacy and oversee children's cases involved with our Office of Children's Services. And plus being a grandmother to hungry young men, and I have to do the household cooking and house operations. And what else was I doing? Oh, I was recently, voted into our Imag Corporation board. It's a 9-member board for a village corporation in Imag, where I'm from, and I was elected the board chair. So I've had a lot of busyness in more ways than I like, but I like it. And I just couldn't add on another thing with Northwest Arctic Take Action. And I just said, I'll support you from behind the scenes. I'll listen to your stuff that you need to oversee, give you some pointers, but I just can't take on an additional thing. But as I subsided, or my studies have come to a halt, I've completed my studies in December for my second master's degree. And I just—
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I did somehow. And then it took me over a month and a half to unwind from the drive of, study, and read, and write. And luckily I was able to unwind in Hawaii for a week just recently. And now I feel reprieved and I feel like I could breathe now. And when Ruth Ann told me about the mobilization center looking for people to work with to get the native vote out, or get the vote out, for people in villages and in the region. And, by then I was all rested, sort of, in a sense. And I said, well, if I'm going to take on something as big as that, I'm not just going to do it in Kotzebue. And I'm not just going to do it in our region of the Northwest Arctic Borough. I said, what I could do is drive my snow machine from Kotzebue to Imanak, which is over 500 miles round trip.
Wow.
And what I could do is go to my hometown and practice, in essence, to educate folks, do presentations about the importance of voting, the importance of registering to vote, and let the people see, high schools and at the education systems charged, by the state of Alaska and other entities, are charged to provide education to our people with government math, reading, writing, but they don't do it like when we were taught. I'm 64 years old, and I've had government classes in the past, but I don't see that happening, and it baffles me. But anyhow, what I want to do is to educate our people about the importance of voting, what comes different times of the year for the different voting. There's city, state, and federal voting times. And then there's the primaries, and then what else they call them?
Federal?
Say again?
Federal? Or
The
presidential?
Yeah, the primary elections, and then the bigger election. Whatever they call, I don't even know what it's called. But anyway.
We know what you mean.
And then the other thing is, a couple of years ago, Michelle Sparks from Alaska Federation of Natives, Get the Native Vote Out, provided statistics at the Alaska Federation of Natives Conference in October, showing the decrease of our rural voters, the decrease and the decline of rural voters in rural Alaska. And the numbers were so startling to me, which bothers me. And then when Ruth Ann told me this outfit called Mobilization Center was looking for somebody to work with to educate people and get the vote out, I said I could do it, but you got to do it how I want to do it. And for too many years, people from out of town, Anchorage, Fairbanks, Juneau, other places like that, Washington, D.C., and wherever else, come to our villages, act like they know what they're doing when they don't. And there's no way of communicating at the village level, and how our people don't comprehend, using complicated words like discombobulated or difficulties with voting machines, whatever the issue is or the topic they're talking about. We need to talk to people at the level that they're going to comprehend. And what better way to do it is for me to go in there as a Yupik person from Imana, go to my village and educate my people, my family, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, my cousins, my brothers, my sisters, about the importance of voting. And not just there, I do it in the school, I do it in the village level. And then from Imanik, I would go to other villages like Alahanak, Nunam, Ekwa, Katlik, Imang, Mountain Village, St. Mary's Pilot Station, which are over 200 miles in radius. I would be there in that area, covering that area for a while. And then after some time, we go up back to Kotzebue, and we would stop in Stebbins, St. Michael, Unalakleet, Koyuk, and back to our region to Buckland, and then back to Kotzebue. And once we're here, regrouped here in Kotzebue, our plan is to do all of the 11 villages in the Nana region. And we would start off in probably in Buckland, then snow machine up to Selwick, and cut across the tundra and everything to Kobuk, Shungnak, Ambler, Kayana, Norvik, and then later on we would hit Kivalina and Noatak, and those are over 10 hours. If you go from Shungnak to Kotzebue, it's over a 10-hour snow machine ride in one day.
Wow.
But we would take some days to go to each community, talk to the students in the higher grades, and also talk to the community members about all of the issues that we're faced with right now, because a lot of stuff in our Alaska villages are at risk, from us losing it, like our subsistence rights or our Medicaid cuts, food security. It's just dwindling, even naturally with our caribou and other animals. Those are our main foods that we eat, but things, because of global warming and the different kinds of winters we're having and other factors involved, our numbers in our Northwest Arctic caribou herd is declining in drastic numbers. So all these factors put together and all these issues that we're faced with in the United States and Alaska and down to village Alaska, Kotzebue, Imanga, Alapanak, Selawik, Kobuk, Noatak, wherever, it has a big impact on us, and the decisions that are being made in Washington, D.C. trickles down to all the way down to our dinner table. I mean, in terms of what we eat. And then we have other people, for many years have come out to our communities and try to get the messages across, but we need to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Our people, for many generations and years, from time immemorial, have sustained themselves in this harshest climate in the world. And our indigenous people survived conditions that are so difficult to survive back then, and we need to carry that forward for our generations to come before us. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, my parents, they did their part. Now it's our turn to do our part to carry on and go forward with the things we need to do to sustain ourselves, our culture, our languages, our way of life, and everything. And when I look at everybody's existence, I don't look at Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the Green Party or whatever party. I could care less, but when it comes to the human side of it, and it comes to me and my grandchildren and to Ruth Ann and to Mike, I have great grandchildren, you know, who's going to speak for them? But if I'm going to be the one to speak, let me be the one to pass on the message, that because the stuff we need to do and to make our voices heard needs to be at the voting box, because at the voting time, because it's so critical with everything that's been going on nationwide. It's so disturbing that, you know, when Ruth Ann was starting this, I said, how could a protest make a difference when we're just a little town? And she said, well, at least you're being heard. And they were mentioned in the Wall Street Journal. And
That's right.
Oh my goodness. A little town in Kotzebue, Alaska was mentioned in the Wall Street Journal article about no King's March. So
That's right.
My little drive through the villages, which is over 500 miles by snow machine, I'm hoping that it'll make an impact to buck our civic duties, our reliance to our people. And dubak in Yupik means wake up. Because our way of existence and our way of doing things, sustaining ourselves, being independent, being self-reliant, being self-sufficient, it's innate in us. And if we don't debunk that, wake it up, we're going to be in a world of hurt worse than we are now. So at my little young age of 64, but I'm really 21, I think I could have some impact. And I just posted it on Facebook this morning, on my Facebook page, about our journey. And I have two young men that are going to come with me. Arthur Richards, he's from Buckland. He's a young man who recently lost his wife to cancer. She died in September.
Sorry.
And this is a good time for him to go through his groundedness, to get back with the land, touch ground, be with the elements in the land, sea, and sky, and regroup himself for his own healing. And then I have another young man, his name is Raymond Brown Jr., who unfortunately lost his younger brother to drowning from freeze up due to the climate warming that we're experiencing now. Because long ago we used to have freeze up occur quickly, but nowadays the freeze up is prolonged. And Raymond lost his younger brother to drowning, and he himself is, we're all grieving because we knew these people and they were close to us. So it's a time for us to go through healing as well. So I'm really happy for those guys to be able to do something they love and volunteer to get the word out. And I'm hoping that I'm going to empower them to do the presentations about how outside influence groups make big voting decisions or ballot measure things for us to vote about, and how it impacts us down to our little lives and our families. And I'm going to teach them how to do presentations about that. And my plan also is to go to the village schools, work with the students, have them make presentations and teach them how to do advocacy. And if I can, take a whole bunch of them with me, going to villages and have them do the presentations on how important it is for us to be involved. And if we don't do that now, in my view, in my heart, and in my mind, soul, and being, it's just not going to be good for my grandchildren or my great grandchildren. And I'm not going to be here forever. There'll be other people 20 years from now named after me, because in our culture we name people after they pass on. And I'm doing this for the future Acha, whoever that is, boy or girl, and I want to do it for our people and do it for what we believe in, and our grandparents and our great grandparents, what they believed in. And, it's just a little journey, but a big one, a big impactful one. And then we love doing the snow machining. So we're going to each, Arthur and Raymond and I, each have our own snow machine with all of our survival gear, all the parts and oil and everything for our trip. And my first 2 trips I did in Kotzebue years ago, I never had GPSs, but I had paper maps, the quad maps from USGS. And but today, and I don't know if I'll use it, I have a GPS, which I don't rely on because I have an internal GPS. It's a natural one that I inherited from my folks. And we look out for the weather. Like yesterday, there was some stretched clouds and weather was coming. And I told Arthur, the wind's coming and there's a little snowstorm going to come. There's clouds coming from that end. And we got up this morning and it's snowing and there's overcast. And I said, we have to watch our surroundings because that's what we've been taught since we were little. And those are my GPS, internal ones. But it'll be interesting to see how technology will help me on this trip. This is my 3rd long distance trip on a snow machine. And I also did other trips by boats between Pasquaquim River to Imangak on the Yukon River, and from Imangak to Nenana by boat years ago. But I love doing that. Arthur and Raymond love doing the travel, and we're just novices on it because we grew up doing that. And also, those guys are absolute great mechanics, so any kind of problems we have on the snow machine, we'll have tools to repair everything we need because we're going to take extra parts here and there. So we're looking forward to it. We leave tomorrow morning.
Oh, you leave tomorrow morning? Oh my gosh.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Oh my God. Wow.
So
Good thing you took a week off. Wow. Oh my God. What a team. And really, who better than you? I mean, I know you're a subsistence hunter. You know the land, you know the life, as you said, it's internal and it's in your DNA, and you've taught your beautiful son, Frank, may he rest in peace. And you taught his beautiful sons. And oh my gosh, the world is so lucky that you're going to do. I want to follow it. I wish I could follow it, see where you are every single day.
She's going to post.
I'll be posting on Facebook here and there, and we're going to take pictures and video. The organizations that are behind this also gave. I told them exactly what I need. I told them what I'm going to do. I told them what my needs are, and just whatever you want. And I said, oh my God, I've never heard that before. So
Wow.
I'm really ecstatic about the support we're getting. We're volunteers to get the native out.
Fantastic.
And, if we have to do it ourselves. Our peoples have to do it ourselves for our peoples in rural Alaska. And one of the presentations I'm planning to do is to do, look at the urban voters, the urban numbers by population versus the rural population. Look at the number of registered voters in both sides, urban and rural, and look at the numbers with who actually voted from those registered voters and go down, and hopefully we could meet voter Tommy to say, why aren't you voting? So trickle it down, say.
That's amazing.
Tommy, would say, Tommy, what is it you need? You know,
Wow.
and we're going to try to get other people to get ready, you know, educate them that, you know, the primary elections happen in August. And in August in Alaska, we're at the peak season of our harvesting for the rest of the year. From May to October, around there, that's our peak season to harvest all of our foods of all game for the rest of the year. And in August is the time we go berry picking. We don't think about voting. We don't, because we're harvesting salmon berries, blueberries, blackberries are later, but salmon berries and blueberries. And those are so critical for us. And we never think of voting in August, you know, because that's the primary. And then later in the general, it's the general election.
Oh, yeah.
October, they have October 2nd. And then at the federal level, they have November 2nd.
Right.
So those are 3 different dates. And they have city, state, and federal voting times that are totally different. But one of them is such critical time for our rural voters to vote. And our mind is harvest, harvest, harvest. Not kill, kill, kill. Harvest, harvest, harvest. We harvest all of our everything, from the wood for our winter supply, all our seals, fish, moose, caribou, berries, everything to sustain ourselves for the year. That's when we do it. But we don't think of voting in August. I think they just totally need to erase that part out, because it interferes with our lives.
Wow, it's a good thing you're there. And it was one of the many profound things you have shared as to how decisions made far away in DC affect what you could have on your plate in the small village in Alaska.
I'll give you an example of that. So I grew up on the Yukon River. Most of the Yukon River, where the king salmon is abundant. The king salmon's main goal is to go to Canada headwaters, going up on the Yukon River to spawn up there. Point of entry for a king salmon is right at the mouth of the Yukon River. The richest oil content fish, king salmon. I haven't eaten that over 10 years because regulations have made it impossible for me and everybody I know. We're not allowed to harvest king salmon because the numbers are so low. And the federal government and the state governments have banned it from our harvest. And I had to drastically change my eating thanks to federal government and state government because of their regulations. Now, my mom, when I was growing up, used to work on 300 king salmon a year, maybe less or more, to sustain my family of 13 in our family to sustain ourselves for the year. And it's amazing. It's such a blessing to have one king salmon now when we used to have hundreds of them years ago. And today's 2026. And
wow.
10 or more years, I haven't had a king salmon. It's pathetic.
That's a very concrete example. Let me, I could listen to you forever, honestly, but I want to ask you, we are almost at having only 5 minutes left, but I want to ask, can people follow your Facebook page? Is that open public Facebook page? And if that's
Yes.
okay, how do they find it?
Acha Kamarov. I'm listed under AUCHA Kamarov. I don't know how to do the follow thing, but I'll try to figure out. But they could look me up on Facebook. I don't know what your
Kamarov.
I don't know
Kamer.
your audience, but who knows? Somebody might know me from California or someplace.
Somebody, maybe.
Well, I know you do, but yeah.
No, we'll put it in the show description so people can find you. Wow, if that's okay with you. Oh my gosh. Well, we only have about 4 minutes left. Oh, this is fantastic. I'm so excited about what an incredible get out the vote, drive, safe drive, in case
Just
I
a
don't
little
say that.
thing.
Incredible. And
thing.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I
Yes.
know Dr. Zent has a little more information, maybe in the, 4 minutes, you can give us a glimpse of where people can get
Yeah.
trainings.
Yeah, I just, I'll say very quickly something that I was going to say. It only takes, according to the social scientists and political scientists who studied this, it only takes 3.5% of the population to take if they take active resistance against authoritarianism, they can reverse the process and bring it back to democracy. 3.5% taking nonviolent, sustained action. And we are all in, the pillars of all of us are holding up the authoritarian. The authoritarian can't act by themselves. They are held up by the business sector, the faith sector, the labor sector, the healthcare sector, all of these groups, the army, the police, and all those people have to cooperate in those pillars in order for them to keep going. And if we don't cooperate, when we're asked to do something unconscionable, that doesn't make sense to us, or that is against the law, then the pillars fall and the authoritarian falls. And so I would just encourage everyone to take action in their little towns. And I would also encourage everyone to listen online to Erica Chenoweth's 17-minute video on YouTube that's called History and Practice of Nonviolent Resistance that she posted about 9 months ago. It has excellent information about how we can resist in her scientific studies. And also I want everyone to participate in the No Kings March that's going to happen March 28th, 2026. They can find out about it by looking up No Kings online.
Wow, boy, you just did that in a nutshell. That's incredible. So Erica Chenoweth, it's on YouTube, you can find this
Yes.
17-minute
Yes.
history and practice of nonviolent resistance.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
It's about how the studies have shown what is successful. They studied multiple countries that had either were authoritarian and were backsliding to authoritarianism, and how those countries reversed the process. And she talks about how that works to save or reverse authoritarianism.
Wow, this is so much useful, constructive information. Thank you. Yeah, No Kings, Indivisible, Erica Chenoweth, and gosh, Dr. Ruth Ann Zent and Acha Kamarov, with this incredible journey on your way. If you ever want to be on the air, if you stop somewhere and you have Wi-Fi,
Yes.
you and Raymond and Arthur can just we could just do a show while you're on the road at some point. I think it would be really
Okay, I told the group I need a Starlink Mini, even if it's Elon Musk's, but oh well, at least we have connection. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you two and hear the beautiful, inspiring, productive work and the hope. You're both giving me so much hope and so much incredible modeling. And we have to say goodnight for now. So thank you again. And I also want to thank our listeners and viewers and our engineer Rebel and our producer Dean K. Piper, and remind everyone to tune in next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to Talk 4 TV on w4cy.com. And may we all have like incredible, enriching conversations like this every single week, and keep inspiring others and modeling incredible work. Thank you again.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Maria.
Maria.
I love you.
Love you very
I love you
much.
too.